Marvel's Darkest Heroes, Kamen Rider Transformations in American Comics. Episode 46. Not like it. Tony shook his head and looked around, a few shattered Gaia memories. The distance is relatively far, but it seems to be fragmented due to their own battle, not like the inside fight. So, who are their opponents? Dr. Ethan touched his chin. Natural. The strength of the pavilion is so strong, who can make them suffer? While the two were discussing, they saw Narumi Shokichi squatting on the ground, holding one in his hand. Put the sand. He kept twisting this pile of sand, his face solemn. How, did you find anything? The other two immediately gathered around and asked. I think I know who the museum's opponent is. Narumi Shokichi sighed. Gas. Who is it? The two asked in unison. The museum's old rival, the Oph Enoch creature. Narumi Shokichi spread his hands. Let the two look at this pile of sand. Orpheus Enoch is another kind of person who has been resurrected after death due to special powers. Creatures, when Orpheus Enoch dies, the body turns into this gray sand. Tony and Dr. Ethan held the pile of ash in their hands. Sure enough, there is a big difference between the feel and ordinary dust and sand. There is a feeling of ashes. How did Orphino come about? Is it also made by the museum? 2. And I threw away the gray sand in his hand in disgust and asked. No, on the contrary, the museum was built to deal with the students of Orpheus Enoch. Killing Orphino is also a top priority in the museum's daily work. Narumi Shokichi shook his head. Many people think of Orpheus Enoch as an evolutionary form of humanity. Humans with certain conditions have experienced a death and awakened to become Orpheus. So his name is a combination of the name of the Greek mythological figure Orpheus and the name of the biblical figure Enoch. However, more research has found that Orpheus may be God's gospel to mankind, allowing humans to be reborn and take on more powerful forms. It is said that Orphino still has a king, and when he is resurrected, he can transform all humans into Orpheus Enoch. Everyone is immortal. Therefore, the Orphino clan has been looking for the king's body and preparing to resurrect him. Could it be that the Red King is the king of Orphino? Dr. Ethan asked suddenly. It's not that simple, is it? According to the historical records in my hands, the Red King did indeed die, and used Pandora's box as his funeral object. And King Orphino, according to the museum interior, should be in the kingdom of Corian or the kingdom of Carrion. However, the museum and the Orphinos have been searching for decades and have not found him. Narumi Shokichi thought for a moment or two, shook his head, and rejected Dr. Ethan's idea. So, did the museum and Orphiono go to war here to snatch Pandora's box? Tony touched his chin and looked at the golden coffin. So where did the bones of the Red King go? The empty coffin made several people startled. Yes, where did the bones of the Red King go? If it were a simple bone, the museum and Orphino would never look at it, would they? Maybe there are a lot of treasures on the bones, so they were taken away. Dr. Ethan pondered. Since you like treasure, why didn't you take this golden coffin with you? And so much gold and jewelry around and not taken away? Tony asked. After discussing for a long time, several people did not come up with a reasonable answer. Continue to look around. Tony Stark glanced at the two and came to a hidden corner. He was relieved to see that no one was looking at him. Then he quickly unbuckled his trouser belt and did a scrub in the corner. Phew. Lifting his pants comfortably, Tony suddenly raised his eyebrows and carefully moved to the corner. What's that? Tony looked at an object that had been rushed out by himself, revealing a curious look. He grinned, found a stone to brush away the wet mud and sand around him, and dialed the mysterious object in front of him. Wrapped in mud and sand, the surface of the object was cleaned of the wet substance, and Tony took the object in his hand. It was a bottle filled with a blue substance, and it was quite heavy. I don't know what is installed, and Tony does not dare to open it casually. What is this thing? Ethan also came over. The two carefully looked at the tank in front of them with full bottles, and after looking at it for a long time, they couldn't see the reason. Something seems wrong with the material. After a closer look, Tony stroked the surface material of the full bottle. The head belonging to a genius inventor comes into play. The full bottle is made of high-strength lightweight materials unique to the Kamen Rider build world. It is a new type of plasticizer, with strength comparable to top alloys and a long service life. Performance exceeds that of all plastics on Earth. Tony is also a master of materials, and he can see the preciousness of this material at a glance. Da-dong! A crisp sound appeared behind the two. Narumi Shokichi's exclamation also entered the ears of the two. The two who looked at the full bottle immediately passively attracted and quickly turned their heads. Episode 47. What happened? Tony and Dr. Ethan quickly ran in the direction of Shokichi Narumi. I saw him get under the golden coffin, and a butt dangled outside. Quick, pull me out, I've found something good. Narumi Shokichi shouted happily. Tony and Dr. Ethan each took one of his legs and pulled him out. Narumi Shokichi held a stone slab in both hands, which immediately attracted the attention of the two. What is this thing? Several people gathered their heads together and observed the stone slab. The surface of the slate is dark green, with a mysterious pattern on the back and 10 grooves on the front. It seems to be just part of a certain device. Dr. Ethan looked in, only to see Tony take out the tank he had just picked up and fill it with bottles. Click. The tank full bottle is just embedded in the groove of the slate. Could it be that this thing is for this bottle? Dr. Ethan judged. What is this bottle? Where did you get it? Narumi Shokichi immediately asked. Just picked it up in the corner. Tony said casually, there are 10 grooves on this slate, that is, there are at least 10 such bottles. So, what do they do? Dr. Ethan touched his chin. Several people discussed for a while, but there was no result. Boom. At this time, a figure fell from the sky and landed in front of the 3 people. Meow. The saber-toothed tiger-doped body looked at the 3 angrily. Oops. The 3 of them were blinded and watched each other pounce. Next second, the saber-toothed tiger-doped looked at Tony with a horrified expression on his face. 3 You look at me, I look at you. As if he understood something, Tony raised the mysterious slate in his hand. Sure enough, the saber-toothed tiger-doped body was immediately frightened and took a few steps back. It's afraid of this slate. The 3 people's eyes lit up. Could it be that when the museum is here on a mission, it is also there? And then witnessed something horrible? Narumi Shokichi judged. It's possible. The other 2 nodded, took the stone slab, and forced back the saber-toothed tiger-doped. Soon, the saber-toothed tiger-doping jumped far away. Haha, now we can go out safe and sound. Tony said happily. When I get to New York, I must put this slate at the end of my bed. The 3 of them were complacent, and the saber-toothed tiger-doping on one side suddenly jumped quickly. Why, it was scared away. Tony raised an eyebrow. In the curious side of the 3 people, the saber-toothed tiger-doped jumped towards the tallest statue of the mausoleum and threw something to the ground. Then its body quickly jumped out of the mausoleum from the top and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What is this thing? Tony and Dr. Ethan were about to step forward to check in, but were stopped by Shokichi Narumi. This is a special energy dynamite from the museum. It wants to destroy the entire mausoleum. Narumi Shokichi said anxiously, it wants to blow us up directly, along with the entire mausoleum. Fark. What a bitch cat. Hearing this, Tony cursed angrily. Let's still figure out how to get out. Narumi Shokichi came to the bomb and looked twice. The bomb will explode in 10 minutes. The 3 of them instantly calmed down. When life and death were at stake, it was the most sober mind and began to run rapidly. There it is. Tony looked at the golden coffin. Let's get inside this coffin. Tony immediately had an idea. I see what you mean. His intentions, Dr. Ethan understood at once. The 2 immediately took action. Novelist, don't be idle, help dig the sand. Under Tony's command, the 3 of them were fully prepared. After some force analysis, momentum analysis, and strength determination, the 2 planted the bomb under the sand at one end of the golden coffin. Then some arrangements were made under the coffin. Come on in. At the last minute, everything was finally arranged. The 3 jumped into the golden coffin. The 3 of them held hands, grabbed the bulge in the coffin, and quietly waited for the bomb to explode. Knock knock, knock knock. The 3 of them can hear each other's heartbeats. Rumble. Finally, the time for the bomb has come. A violent roar came from underground. Then, a huge shockwave came from the ground. The 3 of them only felt a huge thrust, which instantly acted on the golden coffin. So, the golden coffin shot out like a rocket. How, this pushback feeling? No sports car can compare. Tony exclaimed excitedly. After more than 10 seconds, they had already seen the dark night, and the firelight below illuminates half of the surrounding sky. The entire Red King Mausoleum was shrouded in this huge firelight. The sound is thundering, and the earth is shaking. Then, everything was buried in countless sand. Ahem. A few hundred meters away, the golden coffin was inserted diagonally into the sand, which cushioned the gravity of the downward fall very well. It feels good to be alive. Tony touched the special device on his chest and sighed. At this time, in the sky not far away, the sound of helicopter blades suddenly turning. I saw 2 helicopters representing the U.S. Army, speeding towards several people. 2, come with me to New York. Tony left and right, holding Dr. Ethan and Shokichi Narumi by the shoulders, smiled arrogantly. Episode 48. Put on a suit and loosen your hair to look like an adult. Yen Tianxin looked at his handsome self in the mirror and showed a satisfied smile. Izzy. How am I doing here? Good looking, President. Izzy applauded. Thanks for the compliment. Yen Tianxin pinched her face. Let's go. He nodded. The 2 left the office, and Natasha waited at the door in a long dress. It's beautiful today. Yen Tianxin praised. Thank you, boss. Natasha was shocked. She knows how good-looking she is. Just all the way today, there are no less than 100 people who look at her directly. But when Yan Tianxin praised her, she still felt flattered. I feel a little happier when I do things today. The three got into a limousine and arrived at a technology park on the outskirts of New York. This location is not remote, only more than 20 kilometers from Manhattan, and a forest blocks between the two. This science park is a research base of the Life Foundation, and under the science park, research on Amazon is in full swing. At this moment, at the gate of the Science and Technology Park, there is already a lot of traffic. The Life Foundation is also a giant enterprise in the world. Although it is a certain distance from Stark Industries and Tianjin Intelligence, it is also ranked among the top 100 in the world, and is a leading technology company in medical and biological fields. This time, the Life Foundation released a new type of drug that is said to be able to completely stop the emergence of certain types of cancer. Drugs that can completely stop cancer, just listening to this name, is enough to shock people. So, there was a lot of discussion from the start. Journalists from all over the world flock here, especially well-known media gathered here. Many high-ranking government officials and corporate giants were also invited. Mr. Yan Tianxin got out of the car, and people in suits and leather shoes immediately came to greet him. And reporters with long guns and short cannons also pointed their cameras at him. As the president of Tianjin Intelligence, he owns 70% of the shares of Tianjin Intelligence, ranking 4th in the world's richest list at the age of 23. And it's so low-key, no scandals, no lace news, in stark contrast to Stark next door. Mystery is always the topic of Yan Tianxin. The news about him has always been very marketable. Maintaining an elegant smile and taking a few group photos with several government officials and entrepreneurs, Yan Tianxin began to answer some small questions from reporters. Hey, Eddie, Yan Tianxin finally came out once. Don't you have any questions to ask him? Watching the colleagues chatting hotly, not far away, two reporters, an old man and a young one, were exchanging ears. Yan Tianxin didn't do anything harmful to Heaven, so I asked him what he did. Shaved inches, a little ruffian, but more rebellious young people looked at the sign of the Life Foundation. I came for the Life Foundation. They are definitely conducting a secret experiment. And caught a lot of homeless people as experimental subjects. Eddie, we can't afford to mess with the Life Foundation. The older reporter persuaded. If you're afraid, you can quit. Eddie Bullock is tough. Well, if you insist on that. Then I quit. The old reporter chose to save his life, egging on the goods. Looking at his companion who came to Yan Tianxin with a camera, Eddie said disdainfully. As a journalist, he wants to expose the darkness. Even if it is death, it is insignificant. Yan Tianxin finally finished dealing with the reporters in front of him and took Yitzi into the venue. As for Natasha, she entered the venue at the beginning and went to the exchange activities of the press conference. With her status, she is not yet qualified for an interview. She is now a simple tool person. Boss, this way. As soon as she entered the venue, Natasha waved her arm. Around her, there were several white elites in suits and leather shoes, and they chatted happily. It seems that Natasha's charm should not be underestimated. Mr. Yan, it turns out that Miss Natasha is your secretary. She is indeed excellent. Several men politely praised Natasha to Yan Tianxin. After staying by my side for a long time, even a pig can become excellent. Yan Tianxin glanced at a few people. Several men immediately smiled awkwardly. Only one person stood up dissatisfied. Mr. Yan, I think your words are an insult to Miss Natasha. I think most of her excellence comes from her own efforts. You say that, you are disrespectful to her. This was a handsome, early 20s white man, and he said to Yan Tianxin with a stern word. You should apologize to her. Who does he have? Yan Tianxin was inexplicable, pointed to the young man, and asked the rest of the people. Hearing his words, the rest of the people were suddenly a little embarrassed and didn't know how to speak. The young man angrily introduced himself to Yan Tianxin. I am the eldest son of the Cromwell family. The current Earl of Cromwell is my father. As soon as he said this, Yan Tianxin immediately understood. What a little vampire. Episode 49. Listening to the other party's self-introduction, Yan Tianxin immediately looked at the young man in front of him intently. After some investigation, Yan Tianxin clearly knew that there were vampire creatures in this Marvel world. The ancestor is the legendary immortal Count Dracula, and the vampire family is quite rich, as well as ancestral titles. Yan Tianxin identified several vampire families for this, and when he unlocked Kamen Rider Kiva, he could go to brush the wave achievements. Let's see which is stronger, tooth vampire or vampire. Coincidentally, the Cromwell family where the young man in front of him belonged was one of the known vampire families. Seeing Yan Tianxin looking at him, the young man thought that the other party was afraid, and proudly straightened his chest. Grammar? Something you've never heard of. In my eyes, it's just a bunch of hillbillies. Yan Tianxin's next words made the young man even more angry. You dare to insult my clan? The young man was so angry that he couldn't wait to turn into a vampire immediately and go up to bite Yan Tianxin to death. Redneck, get out. This is not a place where you can go wild. Hearing Yan Tian's heart was angry. 2 security guards on the side rushed over with 4 security guards. When they saw Yan Tianxin, they immediately nodded and bowed. Then he looked at the young man viciously and made a threat. Okay, you guys, you wait. The young man gritted his teeth, did not prepare to stay, and ran directly to the door angrily. Thank you. Yan Tianxin expressed his gratitude to the 2 security guards. Haha, it is our honor to be able to do things for Yan Tianxin. The 2 security guards grinned and respectfully retreated to the door. Natasha looked at Yan Tianxin's actions just now, and her eyes moved. This young president, it seems, is not as indisputable as others say. His temper, in these more than half a month of contact, Natasha understood more and more clearly. Not much to say. Personnel entered the venue one after another, and social activities slowly stopped. With a few additions from the horn, the lights also dimmed and began to become soft and deep. So the crowd completely began to be quietly waiting for the start of the press conference. Hello everyone. Welcome to the new launch of the Life Foundation. I'm the CEO of the Life Foundation, Drake. The light shone on the stage, and a lean, bright middle-aged man stood in front of everyone. He is the founder and CEO of the Life Foundation, Dr. Drake. At the same time, he is also the chief scientist and engineer of the Life Foundation. Like Yan Tianxin's significance to Tianxin intelligence, Drake is also the only pillar of the Life Foundation. There was a round of applause. Yan Tianxin did not hesitate to applaud. The character of Drake, he still likes it. Although he is a villain, his intelligence and mind are at the top of the world. Pity. Drake's only drawback was that he couldn't see the situation clearly, rejected his several requests for annexation, and refused to help him. Yan Tianxin had no choice but to destroy him. But no matter what, Yan Tianxin admired him. What a shame, Drake. Yan Tian sighed in his heart. Anyway, Drake will become a villain in the future, and he will also die. It is better to die at his hands. In the hands of Tianxin intelligence, the Life Foundation can also live longer. Drake on stage suddenly felt a chill. He shook his body slightly, dismissively, and continued to introduce the new product he was about to launch. Right at this moment, boom, a loud bang suddenly came from the roof of the venue. Many people screamed. Don't panic, everyone. Drake immediately manipulated the scene and touched his ear. There is a small headset there. Hell, what's going on out there? He contacts his security captain, a samurai-type Shimagia who has been customized in Tengsin. Boss, there are monsters attacking us. Its strength is strong, and my troops have suffered heavy losses. There was a steady voice over there, occasionally accompanied by the sound of gunfire. Monster. Drake frowned. How can there be monsters so good? Of course, not under your feet. Please don't be impatient, I'll go outside and take a look. Drake hurried away. The people at the scene were in an uproar and talking. Is the Life Foundation under attack? Oh my god, let's call the police. Aren't there police here? Damn, I didn't bring a gun today. Boss, I'll cover your retreat. Natasha also stood up vigilantly and looked at Yan Tianxin. What's the hurry? If the Life Foundation can't handle such a small thing, then he won't open it. Yan Tianxin was unimpressed, and even lay comfortably on the VIP sofa, with Yitzi massaging him on the side, and then feeding fruits. Looking at Yan Tianxin's appearance, Natasha rolled her eyes, and then vigilantly guarded for him. Soon, the fighting outside became more intense, as if it had reached a white-hot stage. But a few people are inside, do not know the situation outside, do not know who has the upper hand. The reporters wanted to go out to take pictures, but were stopped by the security guard of Shimakia at the door. During the dispute, nope, a desperate scream suddenly came. Exactly Drake's voice. Episode 50. Drake is screaming. Did the Life Foundation lose? Hearing Drake's desperate shout, people's hearts suddenly panicked. No, we can't stay any longer, we have to go. But there seems to be a war going on outside. Wouldn't it be more dangerous to go out? That's better than staying here and waiting to die. The venue suddenly became like a vegetable market, and the originally elegant and intellectual elites behaved like ordinary people when they encountered danger. Yan Tianxin also sat up, and there were some doubts on his face. Boss, I'll take you back. Natasha said to him again. It makes sense, but with so many people, how can I run alone? Yan Tianxin said righteously. While everyone was arguing, a figure suddenly broke in. Look at how he is dressed, like a human security guard. As soon as he came in, it made many people scream. His neck and face seemed to have been gnawed by some creature, and half of his mouth and face were gone, revealing the roots of his teeth and Bisonson's eyeballs. The body was also tattered, and bright red flesh and blood bones were exposed in many places. His bloodied arms held his intestines and several internal organs, trying to keep them from falling to the ground. Let's go. The monster is out. Come on. the security guard said with difficulty. As soon as he finished speaking, he crashed to the ground, blood spreading. Yan Tianxin was a little moved by his work ethic. Hearing the security report, the crowd began to stir, and there was already chaos. Many people began to leave their seats and prepare to leave. Boom! Suddenly, there was another noise above the venue, as if something had penetrated the ceiling. The crowd below hurried away. The ceiling shattered directly, and a figure fell heavily to the ground. The body is torn apart, and the parts are flying around. Several women screamed in fright, and only then did they see that it was a Shimakia. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, a figure descended from the sky and trampled a noblewoman on the soles of her feet. It was clearly a spider-like monster, but it stood like a human. The face is hideous, ugly in appearance, the body fluff looks hard and sharp, and the slender and powerful 8 feet can make people who hate creatures like spiders jump in fear. Ah! Save me, save me. The noblewoman who was trampled on lost her face and began to scream fiercely. The people around him hesitated for a while, but a few people still had the courage to lift the stool and smash it. But it's too late. The sharp mouthparts of the spider Amazon were inserted directly into the noblewoman's belly. It first injected something into the noblewoman's body, and the noblewoman rolled her eyes. Soon, the skin of the noblewoman's body began to wave, as if the flesh and blood inside had turned into water. The spider made a sucking motion in its throat and mouth. The noblewoman's whole person has become a shallow skin and bone. This scene frightened many well-bred social elites into silence. Many people fled directly. There were also several reporters who took crazy pictures of this scene. Damn monster, go die. An officer, still a little bloody, raised his stool and smashed it on the head of the spider Amazon. Gollum. Seeing that not only did he not hurt the other person, but he also shifted his target to himself. The officer swallowed his spit with difficulty. In the next second, the spider Amazon pinched its neck with one hand and twisted it fiercely. Run, run! I don't know who shouted, and everyone immediately fell down and scattered, fleeing in all directions. However, this spider that fell from the sky has not yet been solved. More Amazon poured into the hall from doors and windows and began a relentless hunt. Boss, let's go over there. Natasha was in the crowd, seeking support from S.H.I.E.L.D. by covert means, while escaping with Yan Tianxin. You cover them, I have a way. Yan Tianxin said, and then looked at Yitzi. Yitzi, turn my armor over. Izzy nodded, and the Shimakia module glowed blue. Go this way, there is a safety exit here. The scene was so chaotic that an executive of the Life Foundation immediately raised his arms and ran to the backstage of the venue. While Amazon was eating its hapless companions, everyone hurriedly ran in the direction of the executives. Let me go first. Why don't you men let the women? You men don't have any gentlemanly manners, and you don't let women go first. Get out of the way, you guys love to die. Since there was only one small door in the background, the crowd quickly blocked the doorway, and a fierce argument ensued. Don't fight, go in quickly, the monster is coming. The people behind directly cursed and cursed. There were more and more monsters, and the corpses on the ground were no longer enough to eat, and they pounced towards the crowd. After a crowded stampede, several more people fell to the ground and were divided and eaten by Amazons. Natasha also escorted Yan Tianxin and Izzy into the small door, then came to the door, maintaining order in the crowd. Fark, the back door won't open. The crowd arrived in a small conference hall, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows. Through the window, you can see the parking lot not far away. However, a dramatic scene happened. The small door lock of the conference hall somehow can't be opened. Episode 51. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. The executive of the Life Foundation frantically slammed the door lock with the key. But in any case, the door just doesn't open. Get out of the way, let me come. A big man kicked the executive away, raised his stool and smashed it into the glass in front of him. His people were staggered by the force of the shock, but the glass was unscathed. The rest of the people also desperately kicked towards the surrounding glass. It's useless, these glasses are special tempered glass, and bullets can't penetrate them. The executive held the key unswervingly and pounded the door frantically. It's over. Look at the monsters that have come in front of you and the door that cannot be opened. Everyone closed their eyes in despair. At this moment, a figure walked out of the crowd and blocked in front of everyone, facing these monsters directly. Mr. Yen. Looking at this figure, the crowd moved. A richest man ranked fourth in the world actually stood at the forefront without fear of death. They were somewhat moved. Arrival. Yan Tianxin raised a hand. I saw a broken sound from the ceiling, and a file box broke through the layers of ceilings and landed in front of Yan Tianxin. In front of everyone's eyes, Yan Tianxin opened the file box, revealing the objects inside. A yellow belt full of technology and a square block. This thing seems a little familiar. Several reporters looked at this thing, their eyes narrowed slightly, and they always felt as if they had seen it somewhere. Natasha, on the other hand, was attentive and watched Yan Tianxin's movements. For most of the past month, she has been overwhelmed by a huge workload, and she has no time to monitor Yan Tianxin's actions. So much so that she had never seen the process of Yan Tianxin's transformation into a locust man. Today, I can finally take a look in public. Everyone subconsciously squeezed back, leaving most of the space for Yan Tianxin. Yan Tianxin was under their gaze. I tied the yellow tech belt to my waist, then picked up the yellow block and pressed the button. Jump/jump. Authorize/authorize. In the surprised eyes of everyone, I saw a huge metal locust jump out of Yan Tianxin's high-tech belt. This metal locust seemed to have life, full of excitement of being released, jumping left and right in the hall. It knocked several ugly monsters in front of it into the air, and then jumped on Yan Tianxin's body at once. Transform. Yan Tianxin immediately inserted the high-leaping locust program sublimation key into his belt and shouted in a low voice. Program upgrade/progrise. Leap to the sky/rise. Rising locust/rising hopper. Kick. The metal locust actually instantly turned into pieces and pounced on Yan Tianxin like a locust. Pounce on it for less than a second. The surface of Yan Tianxin's body immediately formed a set of black base slim metal armor. Soon, as the rest of the fragments joined, his chest, arms and legs were quickly covered with a layer of yellow thickened armor, and his facial armor is also completely new. The face is like a locust, and there is a strong killing intent in a pair of scarlet eyes. A huge sense of oppression instantly enveloped everyone. It's Locust Man. Oh my god, it's Locust Man. Oh my god. My business idol Mr. Yan Tianxin and my idol Locust Man in life are actually the same person. Oh my god, haha, I said it a long time ago. With the technology on Locust Man, only Stark Industries and Tianxin Intelligence can do it at present. It is obvious that Stark's playboy cannot uphold justice every day, and the answer has long been called. I'm such a genius. Look at what you are doing, take a picture quickly. Locust Man is Yan Tianxin, this news can definitely hit the world. Come on. Locust Man. Defeat these monsters. The crowd immediately cheered, and many people even took pictures with mobile phone cameras. Locust Man has been fighting in New York City for so long, and his reputation has not been bad. Yan Tianxin nodded, and his scarlet eyes looked at the Amazons. Amazon also has IQ, but also feels a huge sense of oppression, and did not step forward for a while. Want to escape? Looking at the Amazons who did not dare to step forward, Yan Tianxin smiled disdainfully. Straight at them. He had already conducted tests of the 01 armor against Amazon in the laboratory. He knows the strength of ordinary Amazon very well. Although it is somewhat stronger than in the original work, it is still a little far from the 01 armor basic form. That's why he dares to face so many Amazon with such confidence. Originally, he was a little afraid of Yan Tianxin, but seeing the other party's inappropriate way of playing, the Amazons also had some dignity and immediately besieged it. Shoo! The Amazons made strange sounds, enveloping Yan Tianxin's gorgeous body like sludge. But Yan Tianxin was overjoyed. The gap between Amazon and his power is huge, and if you go up one by one, it is not easy to solve. High leap impact/rising impact. Looking at Amazon, which used the tactic of a sea of people, he slapped the button on his belt. The device on both legs immediately began to charge power. Next second, his whole person turned into a yellow lightning bolt and instantly rushed into the Amazon group. Episode 52. Blah blah. Yan Tianxin's handsome figure flickered, quickly launched a series of offensives in the Amazon group. Then there was a series of pops. These native Amazon creatures are as weak as they imagined. Many Amazon only hit him, and they could not withstand this force. The body began to stiffen, and then it turned into a pool of sticky black water. In the eyes of everyone, a set of cool armor full of technology and sense. Be in the midst of a horde of hideous, deformed man-eating monsters. With the most primitive punches and feet, beat monsters to flesh and blood. Tear the monsters' bodies with bare hands. Pinch their hearts. The monster's blood like black water stained his whole body. The whole picture, like the scene of some sci-fi movie, is full of violent aesthetics. At last, Yan Tianxin jumped up, broke through the ceiling, and then fell from a height. A huge impact sweeps around. The white tiles on the ground immediately shattered, forming a huge spider web, encompassing all the monsters in front of you. Boom. 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 The Amazons who were affected by this impact could no longer bear it, and their bodies were startled, and then they burst open and turned into a puddle of black pus. In less than a minute before and after, this space was cleared by Yan Tianxin. The crisis of everyone is also temporarily lifted. Looking at Yan Tianxin, who came slowly. After a moment of silence, violent applause rang out. Everyone gathered around Yan Tianxin, clapping feverishly, and their eyes were excited. For a time, the ordinary impact factor soared. It's so cool. Locust Man. Fantastic, Mr. Yen. I'm your fan from today. I'll buy 100 sets of shimeji when I go back today. The warm praise of everyone surrounded Yen Tianxin. The reporters present all filmed the scene in front of them with the video recorders in their hands. They have even thought of the topic of the news. The Life Foundation was captured by monsters, and the president of Tianxin Intelligent bravely saved the audience. Locust Man's true identity exposed. It was really him. A man-eating monster suddenly appeared in the Life Foundation Science and Technology Park, and the Locust Man turned the tide. They had imagined what the news would look like. After chatting with a few people, Yen Tianxin came to the glass floor-to-ceiling window. Raise your fist and hit it hard. I saw that the glass that even a gun could not break was actually punched out of a crack. Yen Tianxin, on the other hand, was a little surprised. This glass is indeed of good quality, and it can actually block his punch. After 2 more punches, the glass completely shattered and turned into pieces. The people were saved and rushed to the parking lot. You and Izzy go first. I'll get rid of the monsters on the field first, Yen Tianxin said to Natasha. Natasha also suppressed the surprise on her face at this time and nodded. She saw the process of Yen Tianxin's transformation just now. The technical content revealed made her heart shake. With a simple belt and block, how did you become a metal locust? And how did this metal locust become a set of technological battle armor? This kind of technology is simply unheard of. Even the scientists of S.H.I.E.L.D. never thought about it. Then boss, we are waiting for you in front. Natasha and Izzy got into the car and started walking away. However, there are still a few bold reporters who are not afraid of death at the scene, secretly on the side, hoping to shoot more Yen Tianxin's battle videos. Yen Tianxin also went with them. The more videos you take, the higher your exposure and the more impact factors you have. He entered the crowd not far away and began the process of solving Amazons. According to reliable sources, the Life Foundation is also bold. Not only have hundreds of native Amazon been cultivated using Amazon cells, he even secretly caught a homeless man and cultivated it into a second-generation Amazon. Suddenly, the number of Amazon in his underground research institute approached 1,000. He deliberately sends Gaia memories to a homeless man who escaped from the Life Foundation. After the other party got the power, he really came over to take revenge at the first time. Breaking through the underground research institute and releasing Amazon creatures in the back are all within his plan. It's just that 1,000 Amazon is too much, and the threat to the surrounding area is too great. He was going to have a big hunt and reduce the number to about 10. In this way, it is guaranteed that the Kamen Rider Abaddon armor that he is ready to sell has a good sales, and to ensure that the number of deaths of their customers is limited. After all, the region where Shimakia sells the best. One is Arab, the other is New York. Boom. Boom. 2 punches burst 2 Amazons, and Yen Tianxin came to the laboratory of the Life Foundation. There are a lot of intimate materials in this science and technology park, and some Yen Tianxin is hungry. Taking this opportunity, he cut off the monitoring system of the entire science park and began to copy the information inside. Then, they began to eliminate the surrounding Amazons. After 10 minutes, as many as 200 Amazon died under his hands. Knowing that the reporter was secretly filming on the side, Yen Tianxin also deliberately designed his own actions. Looks handsome and clean, he was sure. These photos of myself published in the newspaper will definitely arouse the adoration of countless people. He has seen that a large number of impact factors are beckoning to himself. Episode 53. 2 hours after Life Foundation was attacked by Amazon Bio, a heavily armed squad finally arrived at the scene. A major purge of the remaining Amazon began. Bang bang. Agent Hill used an airborne machine gun to blast the Amazon in front of him and watch it turn into a puddle of black water. In the next second, a yellow figure jumped in front of her. The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately turned around nervously with their guns. Locust Man. The agents looked at the figure in front of them and exclaimed in surprise. According to my satellite monitoring, 239 monsters are still fleeing, and some monsters have entered New York City. Unfortunately, some monsters can transform into human form. The matter of investigation will be left to you. Yen Tianxin looked at Agent Hill. Are you really Yen Tianxin? Agent Hill looked at him coldly. Yen Tianxin did not continue to answer, turned around and jumped, disappearing. Humph. Agent Hill was slightly dissatisfied, and then looked at a public place not far away. Come out, she said coldly. There was silence for a few seconds. The bathroom door was opened. A lean man in a suit walked out. It was the CEO of the Life Foundation, Dr. Drake. He walked out slowly, followed by a man inseparably. The man is an Asian face with a determined face, wearing a purple samurai suit and holding a katana. The Shimakia module in his ear shows that he is not human. A hint of gloom flashed in Drake's eyes. Today should have been an important moment for him to release new drugs, and it was an important opportunity for fame and fortune in the receiving area. Unexpectedly, it was destroyed by a monster that suddenly arrived. This monster seems to have a deep hatred with himself. If it weren't for the protection of destruction, he would probably have died under the other party's hands. But even if he didn't die, the consequences of this incident made Drake's heart ache. The other party broke the Underground Research Institute and released the Amazon creature. For this, the Life Foundation absolutely faces a huge fine, and the research data of Amazon cells will also be forced by the US government. Dr. Drake, you are so daring to secretly study this kind of thing in a science and technology park. So many casualties. Agent Hill looked at Dr. Drake in disgust, and the guns of the SHIELD people pointed their guns at him. Sorry, this is a normal biological research, but due to the attack of unknown creatures, it led to the outflow of research objects. Dr. Drake didn't know the identities of the people in front of him, and thought they were just simple police officers. Can a light experimental accident bring you impure biological research? Agent Hill waved his hand and ordered, "Take away. You have no right to arrest me, wait. This is against the law." Extermination was restrained by several agents, and Dr. Drake was also held up by 2 agents and thrown into the car. The group quickly withdrew. A day later, Times Square, New York. A press conference is in full swing. The crowd was like believers who had come on pilgrimage. Their eyes were fiery and their fighting spirit was high. Today, Tianjin Intelligent held a press conference. President Yan Tianjin will attend in person. The reason why people are so fanatical, it was not because the low-key and mysterious Yan Tianjin actually attended the press conference in person. Rather, it is due to some video clips and gossip that circulated yesterday. An eyewitness affirmed. The locust man who was active in the night of New York, walking around fighting righteousness, punishing evil and promoting good, was the president of Tianjin Intelligence, Yan Tianjin. So many people rushed over excitedly, wanting to see what Yan Tianjin said. Futuristic platform. A human wall is formed around it with a circle of security Shimakia. Inside the human wall, hundreds of stools were arranged, and some celebrities and journalists sat. Everything is ready. A stream of light lit up from the platform, forming a translucent film in the air, blocking out some of the blazing sunlight. The crowd suddenly became a lot more comfortable. Tianjin Intelligence. They began to shout loudly the name of Tianjin Intelligence. Then, wait until everything is ready. A tall and handsome Asian man slowly walked to the platform. As soon as he came up, the applause and shouts of the crowd became even more enthusiastic. Hello everyone. I am Yan Tianjin, the president of Tianjin Intelligence. Yan Tianjin smiled sunny. Yan Tianjin, Yan Tianjin, Yan Tianjin. The scene is shouting. Ahem. Yan Tianjin coughed lightly twice and signaled the scene to be quiet. The crowd gave him face and immediately quieted down. I haven't seen you for a long time. I think I'll read it according to the script this time. Yan Tianjin took out a piece of paper from his arms. Some people claim that they saw me transform into a locust man in the Life Foundation Science Park yesterday to save people. I'm sorry, Mr. Yan, many people have witnessed it. Do you want to say that the man is a man who looks like you, Shimakia? A female reporter spoke. I know that sounds a little mysterious. But questioning official statements is another matter. Feel free to guess or insinuate that I am a superhero. Well, you're right. Yan Tianjin nodded, a confident smile appeared on his face, and left the note in his hand behind. I'm Locust Man. Hooray. The cheers at the scene are going to break through the sky. Episode 54. Within minutes of Yan Tianjin announcing that he was Locust Man, applause, cheers, and screams resounded throughout Times Square. Moreover, this press conference is global synchronization. Waiting in front of the TV were also millions of spectators. Hearing him admit that he was a Locust Man, many viewers in front of the TV also began to cheer fiercely. Suddenly, there are more than 500,000 ordinary impact factors in the account, enough for him to change the metal-tufted locusts. Suppressing the joy in his heart, the corners of Yan Tianjin's mouth couldn't suppress the upturning. He stretched out his palm and slowly pressed down. Guys, there's actually a misunderstanding here. The name Locust Man is actually not the original name of my suit of armor. The official name of this suit of armor is called Kamen Rider 01. Yan Tianjin explained to everyone. Kamen Rider 01? Quite a few people chew on the name. Kamen Rider is the general name for this armor series, and 01 is his code name. Yan Tianjin nodded. Since it is an armored series, it means that there is more than one piece of armor, right? A reporter raised a hand. That's right, Kamen Rider series armor. Tianjin Intelligence has completed the production of several sets. It's just that the other armor is still in the testing stage. However, I believe it will not be long before it can be put into use. Yan Tianjin nodded. Great, there will be more heroes in New York. People applauded. Mr. Yan, then, how did the Kamen Rider armor finish dressing? According to some clips, it seems that you did not carry a thick set of armor with you. Why did you dress in an instant? A female reporter stood up. That's because Tianjin Intelligence has its own special technology. Yan Tianjin suddenly became proud. Next, let me first show you how the Kamen Rider armor completes the dress. Yan Tianxin lightly slapped his hand twice. The little secretary Izzy ran to the stage with a briefcase in his hand. Yan Tianxin opened the briefcase and took out a yellow belt and a yellow object. Let me give you a closer introduction. The two objects in my hand are Kamen Rider 01 Drive and High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key. If you want to transform into Kamen Rider 01, you need to do both. To use it, first wear the Kamen Rider 01 Drive to your waist. Then press the switch of the High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key to insert the Program Sublimation Key. Insert the right slot of the belt. In this way, the authorization is completed, and the intelligent satellite Zaya of Tianxin Intelligence can be linked. Depending on the Program Sublimation Key inserted, the satellite Zaya will output different signals and particle streams to the drive, and Kamen Rider's armor is transmitted to the drive with this stream of particles. Then come out of the projection device of the drive, cover the human body according to the procedure, and finally form a complete set of armor. Yan Tianxin patiently explained the principle of Kamen Rider armor to everyone. So it is. Presumably, this is a high level of technology. Several reporters exclaimed. Then someone continued to ask, Mr. Yen just said that there are different program sublimation keys. Is there any other sublimation key that can be used by Kamen Rider 01 in addition to the sublimation key you inserted? That's right. My High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key is the basic sublimation key of Kamen Rider 01 armor. In addition, we are in the experimental stage. There are sublimation keys such as the Shark Sublimation Key, the Flying Falcon Program Sublimation Key, and the Burning Tiger Program Sublimation Key. Depending on the program of the sublimation key, the armor will acquire different abilities. This also meets the requirements of armor fighting in different environments. Moreover, in addition, Kamen Rider armor may also have an advanced program sublimation key form. I believe it won't be long before I can meet with everyone. So, next, I'll show you the process of transformation. Yan Tianxin tied the Kamen Rider 01 drive belt to his waist, then picked up the High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key and pressed the button. Jump/jump, authorize/authorize. In the same shocked eyes of the audience, the driver lights up and rings with a process-oriented sound. Then, a huge metal locust jumped out of his tech-filled belt. The metal locust jumped left and right for a while, and finally came to the top of Yan Tianxin's head. Transform. Yan Tianxin immediately inserted the High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key into his belt, straightened his chest, showed his most handsome and heroic side, and shouted at the audience. Program upgrade/progrise, leap to the sky/rise, rising locust/rising hopper, kick. The metal locust actually instantly turned into pieces and pounced on Yan Tianxin like a locust. These fragments then condensed on Yan Tianxin's body. I saw that locust man, who was active in the news and people's daily discussions, appeared in front of everyone. Cool. Quite a few people whistled. Originally, some people still doubted whether Yan Tianxin was really a locust man. Now, in the face of the facts, everyone has to admit it. Are there any flowers? Are there any comments? Newcomers write so lonely? After it is on the shelf, prepare 20,000 words to explode. Does anyone watch it? Episode 55. Yan Tianxin, who transformed into Kamen Rider 01, enjoyed everyone's applause and taking photos. Wait until the crazy crowd gradually quiets down. He was just beginning to prepare to announce a blockbuster news. By the way, I don't know about such armor. Do you want it? Yan Tianxin snapped his fingers lightly and looked at the crowd in front of him. You mean? Many people's eyes lit up. That's right, the Kamen Rider system, in addition to special armor such as 01, also has mass-produced armor. Mass-produced armor, it is for sale. Yan Tianxin snapped his fingers. A 3D projection suddenly lit up on the stage, and an image of Kamen Rider Abaddon was displayed in front of everyone. Everyone's eyes lit up instantly. Kamen Rider Abaddon, although it is a mass-produced Kamen Rider, but the appearance is completely passable. And unlike 01's coolness, it is more industrial and mechanical. In the United States, where tough guy culture prevails, it is undoubtedly more eye-catching than Kamen Rider 01. So cool. Fark, I'm going to buy one right now. It's really handsome, Mr. Yen. Let's go on sale now. I'll go to my house to withdraw money now. When I saw it for the first time, I knew that houses, cars, and so on were small things, and this was what I should pursue in my life. People cheered, as if they could afford it. May I ask Mr. Yen, what is this Kamen Rider armor called? How does it perform? When will it go on sale? How much is the approximate price? The reporters of the New York Times stood up, and as the largest media outlet in New York, they asked the questions that the audience wanted to ask the most. Then I'll elaborate. With Yan Tianxin's opening, the projection screen in front of him began to change. What was originally one set of armor became 2 sets of armor. However, the second set that appeared looks a little more advanced. A detailed set of information was given. This mass-produced Kamen Rider armor is called Kamen Rider Abaddon. It is a defensive and defensive type of armor. Kamen Rider Abaddon is divided into 2 sizes, Soldier type and Commander type. The performance data of the Soldier type is almost the same as the 01 base form on my body, but it is slightly weaker in terms of bursts. The Commander's performance data is about 3 times higher than the data of 01. And the data of 01, the strength of one arm is 50 tons, and the fist force is more than 100 tons, which is about 105 tons. The kick force is 1,100 tons, the regular speed is 100 meters and 4 seconds, and the burst speed is 200 meters in 1 second. The ultimate jump height is 144 meters. The limit withstands an explosion at 500 tons of TNT. Moreover, with the support of exclusive weapons, his destructive power will be several times stronger. Yan Tianxin confidently introduced the armor on his body. Hear his introduction. Most people are ecstatic, and everyone understands what this data concept is. Let's not talk about anything else. Just based on one basic data, it is equivalent to the destructive power of 10 tanks. Moreover, the defense and speed are much stronger than the tank. That is to say, with 5 or 6 sets of such armor, it is almost the combat effectiveness of a tank regiment, and the mobility is still incomparable with tanks. When many people heard this news, they frowned and showed a solemn face. These people, most of them are people from arms companies. They made armor with such data. So what's the point of our gliders and combat armor? Norman Osborn hammered the table. Osco has just developed a decent set of armor and gliders, which are more than 10 times stronger than similar products on the market. But in front of Kamen Rider Abaddon's data, he is a younger brother at best. It's okay, Norman, we still have a booster serum. Moreover, our armor can fly. The Mediterranean researcher on the side immediately consoled. So, Dr. Shurcheng? Our fortified serum, is the study complete? Norman looked at him. Ahem, it's soon. Dr. Shurcheng coughed lightly twice. Hammer Industries. My god, Yan Tianxin actually developed this kind of armor. Our exoskeleton armor has become a joke. Justin Hammer grabbed the hair on his head and looked shocked. Why, I obviously feel that my intelligence is not weaker than Yan Tianxin and Tony Stark at all. Why have I been pressed under them all the time? Stark Industries. Tony Stark, who had just returned home, looked at the tall and handsome Asian man with a solemn face. Not sure why. Ever since the other party said the words "I am Locust Man," he felt that he was about to live in the shadow of the other party. Kamen Rider System, interesting. Tony Stark suppressed his emotions for a moment and looked at the tank in his hand with a full bottle. Bro, what the hell is your secret? So, then come to the 2 points that everyone is most concerned about. Kamen Rider Abaddon release time and price. On the stage in the center of Times Square, Yan Tianxin looked at the crowd of people who were talking and snapped his fingers. Izzy in the background immediately began to change the projected picture. The timing and price of the release and price of 2 sets of armor immediately appeared in front of the people. Episode 56. The price and release time of Kamen Rider Abaddon Soldier and Commander armor appeared in front of everyone. Both sets of armor will be released on September 15th, that is, this Saturday. Kamen Rider Abaddon Soldier type, priced at $8 million. Kamen Rider Abaddon Commander type, priced at $20 million. Yan Tianxin explained. 8 million, a little expensive, but it's totally worth the money. Fark, 8 million. I don't eat or drink for a year to earn enough. $8 million. Goodbye, my Kamen Rider. Tianxin intelligence is crazy about money. Selling it is so expensive. Break pen, 1F22 can buy 100 sets of Kamen Riders. Is this still expensive? The crowd immediately talked. $8 million is indeed an astronomical amount for many people. But few say it's expensive. Because Kamen Rider armor is indeed worth the price, it is still worth the money. Mr. Yen, have you ever thought about what if this armor is sold? What if a criminal wears Kamen Rider armor and does evil? Can you be responsible for the damage caused? Suddenly, a reporter stood up and asked. Your problem, we have already thought of a countermeasure. Yan Tianxin signaled her to calm down and smiled slightly. The armor is sold, of course, to let everyone protect themselves, not to hurt others. Therefore, each set of Kamen Rider Abaddon armor will be directly linked to the satellite Zaya. All offensive orders will be judged by the satellite Zaya. In the beginning, after people complete the transformation, the satellite Z will only unlock Kamen Rider Abaddon's defense system. Then judge the real-time situation. If you're dealing with vicious gangsters or monsters that want to hurt and eat people, the satellite Z will unlock Kamen Rider Abaddon's attack system. If it is found that it is against an innocent person, it refuses to carry out the order. Moreover, All actions of each Kamen Rider Abaddon armor will be recorded in a special database. Do bad things with Abaddon armor, and Zaya will find out. The intelligence of the satellite Zaya, I think everyone should not doubt it, right? Of course not. Thank you Yen Tianxin for solving your doubts. The audience smiled. Satellite Zaya, now known as the king of satellites. Computing power, intelligence, load capacity and other performance, far beyond other satellites. There are even well-known experts who assert that it is impossible for anyone except Tianxin Intelligence to create satellites beyond the satellite Zaya in 20 years. Answered questions from several more people. Yen Tianxin glanced at his watch. It's almost 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm leaving work. So, that's the end of the conference. At that time, the details of new products and Kamen Rider will be given on the official website of Tianxin Intelligence. Then, thank you for your support to Tianxin Intelligence. See you next time. Yen Tianxin stepped down. The audience applauded. Phew. Yen Tianxin returned to the office and disarmed Kamen Rider 01 armor. Only then did he realize that his back was already soaked with sweat. No one could have imagined that this young president was actually a social terrorist. That's why he rarely attends public events. So most of the time I go out, it's in a transformed state. Boss. This is the order just placed by the Ministry of Defense and the Police Department, and both parties have ordered hundreds of Kamen Rider Abaddon armor. Natasha knocked on the door and came in with a pile of papers. Well, I see, leave them alone. Yen Tianxin nodded towards Natasha and said, let's talk about you first. My business? Natasha was shocked. Could it be that he took advantage of Yen Tianxin's development conference in the afternoon and touched the fish for a day, and he knew about it? Look at this document. Natasha Romanov, full name Natalia Arianovna Romanova. Born in Stalingrad in the former Soviet Union in 1928, he was trained as an agent by Soviet agents since childhood. After the body was modified by the former Soviet government, it greatly slowed down its aging rate and enhanced its immune system and ability to resist blows, coupled with its own years of various physical and mental training. It was called the deadly poisonous spider Black Widow. Now you have betrayed the former Soviet Union's secret service organization Red Room and joined SHIELD, which was just established to solve superpower incidents. And your purpose is my Kamen Rider armor. Listening to Yen Tianxin's words, Natasha breathed a sigh of relief. I thought I had been found fishing. Wait, his identity has been exposed. You successfully influenced Black Widow Natasha Romanzov and obtained 100 special impact factors. Natasha's smile suddenly froze on her face, and then slowly disappeared, looking at Yen Tianxin. You know, with my computer skills, your SHIELD database, I can invade as much as I want. Find out your identity, one day of the world is enough. Yen Tianxin looked at her in the four eyes. Why, I've been following me for almost a month, have you found anything in my secret? Yen Tianxin looked at Natasha expressionlessly. Natasha's heart tightened. Episode 57. Listen to Yen Tianxin's question. Natasha shook her head and said, my purpose is not to investigate the secrets on your body, but for the Kamen Rider armor. Oh. Is it? So why did you go into my office 5 times late at night and rummage through my cabinets and check my computer? And why are you trying your best to find a way to get to the 18 floors underground? Yen Tianxin still looked at her expressionlessly. Natasha was silent. Say, what do you want to do with me? Natasha sighed, relieved, and asked. You SHIELD, I took a closer look. It is a special force of the United Nations Security Council dedicated to dealing with all kinds of bizarre events, and it is not even under the jurisdiction of the US government. The power and power are simply the best in the world. However, if you want to be a mighty blessing in front of me, it is still a lot of meaning. Yen Tianxin's face became gloomy and looked at Natasha. Obviously, he is only in his early 20s, and he looks sunny, but Natasha doesn't know why, and she is inexplicably panicked in her heart. She watched Yen Tianxin stand up, her tall body came to her, and then said in a gloomy tone, I decide, let you dash. Natasha's heart lifted, ready to resist and flee. Become the second Kamen Rider of Tianxin Intelligence. Yen Tianxin patted her shoulder. Natasha was full of question marks. Yen Tianxin ignored her, returned to his sofa, and snapped his fingers. Izzy took small steps and brought a cup of tea. Phew. Taking a sip of tea, Yen Tianxin explained, I read your information. It is indeed a rare talent. You should also know that I have been following me for so long and will become Kamen Rider 01 every night these days, going to the city to punish evil and promote good. This kind of work has greatly reduced my sleep time and quality of life. So, more Kamen Riders need to stand up and share the pressure for me. But for Kamen Rider's shapeshifter, my requirements are very high. Not only must we be brave and full of justice, but we must also have a strong physique and a wise mind, and more importantly, a strong heart. And you, Natasha, are the ones I think are qualified to serve as Kamen riders. Natasha had mixed feelings for a while. She was suddenly moved. It turns out that the boss has such a high opinion of himself. So, to sum up, Natasha, you qualify as a user of the second Kamen Rider armor. So, Natasha, would you like to be a user of Kamen Rider armor? Don't worry, even if you reject me, I won't do anything to you. Yen Tianxin looked at her calmly. Of course I do. Natasha didn't think about it and nodded directly. After all, the mission of Tenshin Intelligence is for Kamen Rider armor. If you become Kamen Rider, the mission of Shield is completed, and the mission of Tenshin Intelligence is also completed. Good. Izzy. Yen Tianxin looked at Izzy. Izzy nodded, and Shimakia lit up with blue light. The wall next to it suddenly disappeared, revealing an elevator. Natasha's pupils shook. Come with us to the 18th floor underground and complete Kamen Rider training. Yen Tian walked into the elevator impatiently. Natasha immediately walked in and stood respectfully behind him. As the elevator slowly descended, Natasha's heart became more and more excited. Finally, she saw the true face of the 18 underground floors that she had always wanted to explore. This place is much bigger than I thought. There are tens of thousands of Shimagia and thousands of humans working here. All kinds of unknown instruments and items full of science and technology were pushed in front of me by unmanned vehicles. It seems that this is the core R&D base of Tenshin Intelligence. Natasha was a little surprised. Tenshin Intelligence has a research base outside, but SHIELD has been monitoring for a long time and has not found anything related to Kamen Rider. They had always suspected that Yen Tianxin had hidden it on the 18th floor underground. Now it seems that this guess is correct. Go this way. Yen Tianxin called Natasha and entered a large laboratory. Boss. You're finally here. A Shimakia with a white explosive head, a floral shirt inside, and a white research coat on the outside appeared in front of the three. He smiled all over his face and stuck to Yen Tianxin. Stay away from me. Yen Tianxin pushed him away and introduced Natasha to Natasha. This is Dr. Potter. It is the doctor-type Shiomagia that I developed. It is the world's top level in terms of computers and artificial intelligence. Helped me upgrade Shiomagia and Kamen Rider research and development. Kamen Rider armor, half of it is his credit. It's all boss leadership. Dr. Potter laughed. Potter, take her through Valkyrie's dress test. Yen Tianxin said. Yes. Miss Natasha, please follow me. Dr. Potter immediately took Natasha to a huge transparent container as if he had received a military order. Please go inside and do Kamen Rider Valkyrie's first outfit test. Natasha didn't hesitate and walked straight in, ready to start transforming into Kamen Rider. Episode 5. The transparent door closes. Natasha suddenly felt that her side was extremely quiet, and she could only hear her own heartbeat. Click! A crack suddenly appeared in the ground in front of him, and a lifting platform appeared in front of Natasha. On the platform, there is a blue gun belt and a brown-yellow program sublimation key. This is Kamen Rider Valkyrie's TXS, T-on-X-in, Smart, Shooting Sublimator, as well as the Sprint Cheetah program sublimation key. Please put on your belt and press the switch of the program sublimation key. Listening to Dr. Potter, Natasha picked up two things, put her belt on, and pressed the switch of the Dash Cheetah program sublimation key. Dash. Authorize. Insert the program sublimation key into your belt. Press the trigger of the shooting sublimator. Natasha did so. A bullet hits. A burst of light enveloped her. Kamen Rider. Shot rise. Rushing cheetah. Catch up with evil and fly dust. With a series of sound effects, a set of yellow-white armor quickly formed on Natasha. Her whole body is armored, half yellow, half white, and her mask is like a cheetah waiting to be hunted. Phew. Natasha took a deep breath and felt her own strength. An unprecedented feeling appeared in my body. For a moment, she felt like she could do anything. Of course, she understood that this was an illusion after she had gained great power. Miss Natasha, let's take the test. Dr. Potter then said, see the fist, foot, and gun targets in front of you? Crush them all in 15 seconds. Listening to Dr. Potter's words, Natasha turned her head, and suddenly 3D projected targets of different shapes in front of her. Dear Kamen Rider Valkyrie, Satellite Z has linked for you. A voice sounded in her ears, and it was the satellite Zaya who linked it. The distance and angle of the targets suddenly appeared in front of them, and how to hit them also had an exclusive route. The steps and methods of operating Valkyrie are also in full view. Following the instructions of the satellite Zaya, Natasha quickly attacked. She is extremely fast, like a predatory cheetah. In just 3 seconds, it accelerated to a very fast speed. Fists, feet, guns. Within seconds, she bombarded the target with her fists, kicked her legs against the targets, pulled out her gun and shot at the target. In just a moment, all the targets disappeared. 8 seconds. It only took you 8 seconds to accomplish what someone else could do in 15 seconds. Dr. Potter exclaimed. Without a doubt, you are the best user of Kamen Rider Valkyrie. Thanks for the compliment. The corners of Natasha's mouth rose in a beautiful arc. Well, your dress test is done. And I don't think I have to continue training. Dr. Potter looks at Yen Tianxin. Boss, what do you think? Well, I agree to pass. Yen Tianxin nodded. Natasha breathed a sigh of relief, and at the same time her heart was indescribably excited. After himself, he will be a Kamen rider. Put the things up, and from now on, this set of armor will be kept by yourself. If I lose it, I'll go to S.H.I.E.L.D. to ask for compensation. Yen Tianxin said to Natasha. Natasha nodded, put the drive and program sublimation key in the briefcase, and carried it in one hand. The three returned to the top office. Boss, then I'll leave work first. Through the window, looking at the city that was already lit up, Natasha said to Yen Tianxin. Well, let's get off work. Yen Tianxin nodded, but Natasha didn't take a few steps. Yen Tianxin called out to her again. Boss. Looking at Yen Tianxin suspiciously, Natasha clenched the briefcase. He wouldn't want to regret it, would he? Natasha, is S.H.I.E.L.D. still paying you every month? Yen Tianxin asked. Of course. Natasha nodded. But you work one job and get 2 salaries, so you can't say that, right? Starting next month, Tianxin Intelligence will not pay you a salary. Yen Tianxin said, unless you work 2 jobs in Tianxin Intelligence. I still work as a secretary during the day, and go out to work as a Kamen rider at night. Natasha nodded and walked out of the room. Is this the capitalist? She looked strange. Believe me, the museum is definitely not as full of justice as you see. Inside the Stark building, 3 men in suits and leather shoes looked at Narumi Shokichi in front of them. Then Mr. Heizuangji, can we borrow the Gaia memory in your hand? Coulson looked at him gently and asked. The U.S. military rescued Stark, Dr. Ethan, and Shokichi Narumi in the desert. Stark serves as a guarantor and brings Dr. Ethan and Shokichi Narumi to Stark Industries. Hearing that Narumi Shokichi had the existence of Gaia's memory on his hand, S.H.I.E.L.D. suddenly couldn't sit still and hurriedly came to the door. Sorry, my Gaia memory was lent to Tony for research. Narumi Shokichi shook his head and said, don't even think about it. Tony on the side looked at the gazes cast by the 3 and shook his head directly. Episode 59. Mr. Stark, you may not yet know what Gaia memory means. I know. Tony nodded, of course, interrupting Coulson's words. I'll study it myself, don't bother you guys with S.H.I.E.L.D. Because they wanted to get Gaia's memory, Coulson and others directly revealed their identities this time. And the current Tony Stark has no consciousness of becoming Iron Man at all. A newly created department, even if it was directly under the orders of the United Nations, could not allow him to compromise. Mr. Stark, no talk. Tony interrupted Coulson again. Okay. Coulson had a headache for him. Why is he dealing with some difficult guys? He looked at Shokichi Narumi. Then, Mr. Heizuangji, can you talk a little more about the museum? No, Pepper, see you off. Tony interrupted them mercilessly, though. After lying lazily on the sofa, he began to rush people. Pepper has been on the sidelines. Hearing Tony's words, she also rolled her eyes helplessly. Then he walked over and invited the 3 of Coulson out with a smile on his face. Mr. Coulson, you must understand that Tony has just been saved from the Middle East, now. In him. Looking at a few people walking out, Tony turned his gaze to Dr. Ethan and Shokichi Narumi. The 3 of them can be regarded as lifelong friendships. Novelist, what's your next plan? You can stay with me. I'm sure you'll be a good propagandist. Tony wants to take Narumi Village. G stayed. I'm sorry, Tony, I still need to know the whereabouts of Pandora's box, whether it's in the hands of the museum or in the hands of Orfino. Narumi Shokichi shook his head. Well, rest assured, I will sponsor your action. Tony saw that Narumi Shokichi had made up his mind and didn't force him anymore. His focus is now on the study of tank bottles and Gaia's memory. Even now, nothing has been studied. Oh. It's hard for agents to do. Look at the Stark Tower behind you. Coulson rubbed his temples and took the 2 back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. Gaia didn't get the memory, did it? Before he could fully enter the office, Nick Fury's words reached his ears. Sorry. Coulson shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Don't be sorry, Tony Stark, he's more annoying than his dad. Nick Fury was unimpressed, and even drank coffee beautifully. Huh? Is there good news from Natasha? Seeing Nick Fury's appearance, Coulson immediately guessed. Bad news, Natasha has been exposed. Yen Tianxin has long known her identity. There is also good news. Yen Tianxin not only did not drive her away, but also gave her the qualification for the second set of Kamen Rider armor transformation. Nick Fury looked at Coulson's anxious expression and smiled in a blink of an eye. Now Natasha has begun the work of chivalry at night. Second Kamen Rider armor. Coulson was also a little shocked. Are you saying that Yen Tianxin knew Natasha's identity, but still gave her a second set of Kamen Rider armor? Is he courting us? Showing? How could you have such an idea? Nick Fury shook his head, his eyes meaningful. Yen Tianxin, he is demonstrating to us. Host, Yen Tianxin. Age, 23. Unlocked Kamen Rider Book, Kamen Rider 01, Kamen Rider W. Equipment, Kamen Rider 01 Drive, High Leaping Locust Program Sublimation Key, Utopia Memory, Shining Assault Locust Program Sublimation Key. Ability, Earth Library. Followers, Izioshi, Zaya Satellite, Kamen Rider Destroyer, Tianjinyu, Narumi Shokichi, Sonasaki Tsutoko. Common Impact Factor, 877,441. Special Impact Factor, 4,300. On the top floor of the Tianjin Intelligent Fortress, Yen Tianxin was looking at his panel with a smile. A press conference earned him hundreds of thousands of ordinary impact factors. The goods on the second floor of the Kamen Rider 01 illustrated book can be afforded. He thought about it for a while, and first spent 500,000 impact factors to buy the metal cluster locust, then bought a satellite yak. The impact factor is immediately visible to the naked eye. The remaining ordinary impact factor, Yen Tianxin is ready to take out 100,000 for the lottery. Congratulations on getting the Stag Beetle Phone X1 from Kamen Rider W World. Congratulations on getting X1 of the regular coins from the world of Kamen Rider 00. Congratulations on getting from Kamen Rider. Congratulations on getting Mr. J.J, a crocodile from Kamen Rider 555 World. Congratulations on getting the Space-Time Demon God Machine X1 from the world of Kamen Rider Shio. Congratulations on getting the Metal Lifeform Dras from the Kamen Rider Zeo World. Ofano. 100,000 ordinary impact factors are almost useless things, but fortunately, in the last few strokes, good goods came. One is the Orif Enoch he is wanting. The other is a very powerful space-time magic machine. Episode 60. The Space-Time Demon God Machine, which can travel through time and space and modify history. Definitely a bug-level existence. I just don't know if it can be discovered by the Ancient One. After all, the Time Gem is now being kept in Comatage, and the Ancient One can observe and use it at any time. But, since the system can make the ancient first-class bigwigs unable to discover everything they have done in secret, then such a thing as traveling through time and space should also be able to cover up. Yen Tianxin looked at the explanation of the Space-Time Demon Divine Machine. It is not written whether it can be discovered by the Time Gem, but the Space-Time Magic Machine is a disposable, can only be used once and cannot be spent more than 5 years in the past. All of a sudden, the Space-Time Demon Divine Machine seemed a little precious. Not thinking of the role of the Space-Time Demon Divine Machine for the time being, Yen Tianxin set his sights on the Metal Life Form Dras. This is the boss in Kamen Rider Zeo, a new life form created by Dr. Mochizuki to absorb the surrounding matter and become an enhanced form. Amazingly destructive. You can also freely change your body shape and have a strong self-healing ability. The comprehensive strength is stronger than Utopia, and in the manga, it can also become a 100-meter-tall monster. If used well, you can definitely get a lot of impact factors. But now, Yen Tianxin didn't think about how to use it. In short, this time 100,000 ordinary impact factors, spent without loss. Then, it's time for my plan. Yen Tianxin looked at New York with a grim expression. This city, full of sin and depravity, needs his purification. Manhattan, New York. An ordinary dwelling. In the attic on the second floor, 2 teenagers were holding popcorn and watching the live broadcast in front of them with relish. Kamen Rider Abaddon pre-sold today. Peter, did you see that? So cool, so handsome. An Asian little black fat man yelled and pointed to the picture in the live broadcast. Of course, it's so tempting. Peter Parker stared at the Kamen Rider armor in front of him. He's so eye-wrenching. You know, he only has 2 idols now. A genius scientist Yen Tianxin who built such a behemoth as Tianxin Intelligence at the age of 20. The other is the Locust Man who has cool armor and punishes evil and promotes good. However, the news the other day told him, these 2 idols are actually one person. Peter Double Chef Ecstasy. Since then, he has become a die-hard fan of Yen Tianxin, determined to work at Tianxin Intelligence. Kamen Rider Abaddon, he naturally wanted it too. But at a price of $8 million, he couldn't afford to sell it. How do you make money? Peter Parker looked at his hand. Looking closely, dense fine fluff appeared on his originally smooth hands. This is the ability he got 3 days ago after being bitten by an experimental spider while visiting the Osborne Enterprise. Something incredible. He actually has spider-like abilities. Strong strength, strong muscles, biostatic, spider sensing. Perhaps, I can learn from Locust Man and punish evil and promote good at night. Peter thought to himself. He wants to be on par with his idols. Since Mr. Yen Tianxin is called Locust Man, then I am called Spider-Man. Peter made a decision at once. Hey Peter, what are you thinking? Little fat Ned put his arm around Peter. Go play games at my place tonight. I bought a new teacup head that recently caught fire. No, Ned, I have something tonight. Peter was ready to fight chivalrous at night, and naturally rejected Ned. Huh? Today I saw you and Mary Jane talking for a long time. It won't be. A gossipy smile appeared on Ned's face. Ahem, don't tell you. Peter coughed lightly, his face was slightly red, and he spoke ambiguously. Tisk. The two chatted for a while, and Ned finally went home. Relieved, Peter locked the door behind him, took out a few old clothes, and made himself a uniform. Tonight, he's going to wear it for the first superhero event of his life. Hell's Kitchen, at night. A desperate white figure, rushing down the street. Suddenly, his body froze. A figure, I don't know when, appeared in front of him. He was playing with his fingers as if he had been waiting for a long time. You're finally here, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Demoto snapped his fingers 3 times and looked at the Ice Age doped in front of him. Then you can, go and die. Tsuyoshi Demoto showed a sinister smile, took out the metal memory, and turned into a metal doped. Ice Age stubbornly fought him through 2 moves, and was finally beaten to death on the ground. It's boring. Tsuyoshi Demoto spread his hands, picked up the corpse and broken doped body in front of him, and casually threw it into the trash. He walked arrogantly down the street and then stopped abruptly around a corner. Hey, that sneaky little mouse, you should be out too. Tsuyoshi Demoto suddenly spoke, but no one responded. Ah, won't you come out? He touched his chin and then said cruelly, then you will die. He instantly waved his long stick, strode across a distance, and slammed the stick towards the wall in front of him.